I'm going to mute myself.
Go your own way, stones and shadows bite, willows whisper of darkness deep and wide. In the forest, there is no place to hide. Strange bells, tonight I fear that I will not survive the dying of the light.
You're muted, Sir Robert.
Yep. I was unmuting. I got it now. Okay. This is The Dying of the Light, a series from the Starfall Collective. The Starfall Collective is a collaborative storytelling group that uses the Dungeons & Dragons game system as a vehicle for creating rich and compelling stories in a fictional world we've been developing together for a while. You can find out more about the collective, as well as the stories we are telling, at thestarfallcollective.com. We're back with a new episode. Let's find out who's in it. I'm Sir Robert, a father and entrepreneur, and I'm the host of this season's story. And just as our occasional reminder, that with me tonight are a few friends playing the characters in this drama. And what that means is that as the host, I know the story, but I don't know what the characters are going to do. And so I know the story that much. And the characters are in control of what they're going to do, but they don't know the story. So that makes it fun, we hope. Please say your name, something about yourself if you like, and a brief description of the character you're playing. Why don't we start with Josh?
Certainly. My name's Josh. I am a software developer and Bigfoot enthusiast. Tonight, like most of the nights previous, I am playing Inkatink, the Kinku, who has many voices but not one. Inkatink is in a real pickle, but at least he's in it shoulder to shoulder with his friends, all hands on one torch, and he is very hopeful that soon they will recover their friends from the maw of death and darkness, and along with them, perhaps stumble upon his focus, so that he might become the sorcerer.
All right. Sounds good. How about you, Pat?
Yeah, I am Pat. I am playing the character Toll, and Toll is probably, as things have gotten more and more grim, considered that this might not be great, but being free and being in danger is better than being enslaved and being safe, he thinks.
Yeah. Has a unique position in this party. Who was
I didn't get all of that.
You went all square for me.
Sorry. I was just saying, Toll, of being the only one in the party who was enslaved by the Iron Bell.
Ah, gotcha.
Indeed.
So he's got an interesting and kind of unique perspective about some of this. Others of you being refugees, but he was, in bondage when you met him. Okay. Sounds good. Dwight, how about you?
Hello, I am Dwight. I am an influencer and a spokesmodel and a raconteur, and possibly a flaneur. And I am playing Belvari, who is a little bit of a raconteur himself.
Wow, I totally lost your audio there, Dwight.
Oh,
It's muddy.
sorry. Can anyone else hear me? Or
Yeah, but I can hear you, but it also got very muddy for a little bit.
Did you place a bucket over the microphone, perhaps?
It sounded like a pizza.
But if
Yes.
you turned up the gain, it would be better, clearer.
um,
Lord knows I'm trying to turn up those
Well-
gains. I take it by flaneur, you mean you sell clothing exclusively to Canadian lumberjacks? Is this the meaning of the term? I'm unfamiliar, I'm afraid. Matthew, you're professionally proficient in English. What is a flaneur?
You know, that's a French word.
All right, fine. What's a flaneur? Now it's English.
I don't know.
Something you use to
Something
flame.
bad.
Flan.
What's a flaneur, Dwight?
An idler or lounger.
a roustabout.
Gossip. Yeah, like a lazy bum.
I've always thought of him more as a feckless git, but I'll take it.
One who roams, who travels at a lounging pace.
He's the boss from IT Crowd,
Certainly.
the
Certainly.
second boss. Okay,
Now listen here, IT man.
that's right. That was good. Okay, thanks. Okay, and why don't we? Thanks, Dwight. It sounds like your audio is better. That's great. And why don't we finish up with Matthew Talamini?
Oh, jumped on
Citizens arrest, citizens arrest, IP theft.
They're always trying to trip me up. Hi, my name is Matthew Talamini. I'm a writer and web developer based in Providence, Rhode Island. You can find my stuff at MatthewTalamini.com. That's Matthew, TALAMINI.com. Which actually I think is probably down today. I need to go and pay for it, and then they'll be back up, hopefully.
I'm gonna buy.
So, if for the hundreds of people watching, not today, but generally, I play the shirtless wizard Diamondback, a necromancer of considerable power.
All right.
Yeah, Matthew.
On the dying of the light. Actually, sorry. Go ahead.
Dwight,
What'd you say?
Dwight, you were saying something, but none of us could hear it.
MatthewTalamini.com is trying to sell me homes in Matthews, North Carolina.
Starting next
first-
week, it'll be Matthew Talamini 2. That's Matthew Talamini, the number 2, .com.
But Dwight, it was really hard to hear you that last time too. So I think that whatever's going on with your microphone is still not 100%.
Dwight was saying that MatthewTalamini.com, when visited by Dwight, was attempting to sell Dwight the ownership of homes in Matthews, North Carolina, I believe.
Oh. We can't
Airing
have
our
that.
dirty laundry here at the intro up top.
Sorry, Sir Robert.
Good news that oh, that's Dwight. Nope, that's good. Can you all
He's
hear that?
coming
cat?
back. Though I've heard we're not supposed to call it a comeback. Uh-oh. The cat is upset.
This has been a chaotic first few minutes.
Whew, my goodness.
We're really, yeah.
So I heard a fascinating interview with a gentleman who has access to a large database of images taken by drones that fly through the forest. And this software attached to the image bank scans for unique identifiable bears. They can actually identify the same bear again and again so that they can track the health of these bears. But apparently, everybody who works on the team who combs through these images, they've all seen so many images of Bigfoot in the databanks at this point that they're all like, yeah, they're real. None of us believed in it going into it, but we've now all seen umpteen dozen images of them. So, meh. And the guy who was interviewing him was like, then why don't you release these images? And the guy's like, dude, all of my funding comes from universities. There's no university on the face of the earth that wants me to even whisper the name Bigfoot in association with anything I'm doing. I would lose all of my funding instantly if I released any of these. So somebody else is going to have to do it. I'm just letting you know. You're like,
I mean, why doesn't he just release the pictures and say unidentified North American megafauna?
well, at this point, there's so many images
Because
that
Josh
it's not
would get
going to
on
make a
there and be
difference.
like, "It's Bigfoot."
No, I'll be the first to say that, like, I always see on Facebook and other social media sites, there's the same dozen screenshots from movies with prop and costume Bigfoots, and people keep posting these images online. You're like, guys.
All right.
Anyway,
Can y'all hear me any better now?
yes,
Yes, much
A
better.
lot clearer. All right.
Sorry. I mean,
No, you're good. You're.
not sorry.
Thank you. You had me at hello. Can you all hear me? Okay. Is everything crisp?
Yeah.
All right, great. A little bit of Starfall related good news that I found out today from one of our listeners. I warned him as he was listening through. He's getting pre footage of the cut stuff that we have, and I said, "Hey, there's a missing episode coming." I haven't listened through that because I haven't gone back. But when you get to that missing episode, let me know and I'll fill you in on the details. And so he told me he just hit the miss episode, skip one. The only part we're missing, this is great news. The only part we're missing is the scene with the fight between Gulb and the four guards, and all of you in the four guards. But it picks up,
okay.
and we do get to meet Splint and Toll. That's we
good.
do have all of that. Yeah, and we have
Okay.
everything up to that, including going into the slave camp. It's just
Wow.
that fight.
Wow.
For the next episode, I said, "Hey, I want to go back and redo some." Lost the redundant footage plus that fight.
Woohoo!
So that's great.
Nice.
It's a small enough chunk, either narratively or with a quick.
He's going through the
recreation.
He's going through the YouTube.
Yeah. Well, no,
Nice.
sorry. He did, but he's going through the edited version that Jared's been making, which is from the YouTube, the
Nice.
source materials. Anyway, and now he's finished with that, so he's going through the YouTube again.
Shiny.
Yeah, so let's jump into tonight's Bit O story. When previously we encountered our party here, they are wandering through this darkness. No, they're not wandering through this darkness. They are striding through this darkness, able in but a limited fashion. However, knowing where they're going, having a direction in which to travel. They have an inclination through Inkatink that they're getting closer and closer. They've been traveling for some hours now, including having been able to take a long rest, which was a surprise and excellent. In the previous episode, they found themselves fighting three, I should say, large snakes, and two of them had already been killed in some sort of combat. But it turned out that the five of those snakes, when they explored further, were not five large snakes, but instead one giant or huge, or whatever the technical term is, hydra. By either chance or skill, when they slew the hydra, they did so with flame, which is its weakness. It does not bifurcate its heads as they die. if killed with flame. And one way or another, that happened, and they escaped a significant peril in so doing, standing on the Hydra's back as they
Mhm.
fought it. It had
And now we
latched
just have
into
to fight a zombie Hydra as we leave.
We'll see. That's where we're going to pick up this story. So you have walked a little bit past there, and you jumped off the tail of this now dead Hydra. Who knows? You certainly don't know exactly what it is about this land of Garatone that animates the dead. You don't know when. Maybe Diamondback, you might have some inkling of how that's starting to work, but you certainly haven't been able to study that thoroughly. Like, how long does a corpse have to be felled before it is
I
animated?
tried to.
From whatever? You did try to, yeah, absolutely, and it'll take some study. That's all. That said, who knows what that means, and more to the point, how does this strange darkness affect that, if it does at all? The rules here are a little different, right? The world works a little differently. So you're on your way. You know that you have a direction in which to travel, thanks to Inkatink's potion that he's drunk. It has given him that pressure on the back of his skull, pushing him towards his magical focus. So you tell me, what next?
I think we're still
Press on.
going in the direction of the focus and everybody keeping their hands on the torch and making assiduous use of the safety donut as outlined in everyone's HR safety manual.
Okay. And I'm gonna go
One
ahead.
thing I'd like to do as we're walking, probably not so much currently, but increase as time goes on, is start to keep an eye out. If I see a shelter that looks extraordinary, I would like to point it out and be like, hey, look, that one looks like something we'll never find again. You know what I mean? Like very, very
If you
safe.
are searching for that, by passive I mean keeping an eye out as you walk towards your destination rather than actively just looking for such a thing, then I will let you roll as we go every 15 minutes, 4 times an hour, as it were, with disadvantage on survival for one of you.
Gotcha. Yeah, so probably the first hour I won't, and then, depending on how that fight goes, or the next fight goes, I'll probably start after that, I guess.
Yep. So that sounds good. And just as a reminder to our listening audience, especially, but also to the party, Dwight has a cantrip that causes light. Is that the cantrip you're using?
No, it. What does it do exactly? It
Do you remember what the
start.
name of
It's
it is?
Druidcraft. It's Druidcraft.
Gotcha.
It lights a candle, torch, or small campfire. So I'm just using that to kind of burn a little mark into trees as we pass.
Okay. So those are extraordinarily difficult to see themselves, the mark left behind. However, he is marking the trees, and with patience, they perhaps could be, used to navigate back if you were to try to come the exact same way. And I did a little bit of math on that the other day after you talked about that, Dwight, and just thinking through a forest and how often you come close enough to a tree that you wouldn't have to divert, and you're actually able to hit one very frequently. So it's not, hundreds of feet apart. It's
Gotcha.
a dozen feet or a couple dozen feet. Okay, just reminding our crew that is happening as well. So I'm going to be rolling with D&D. My dice are missing still. I'm going to be using D&D Beyond to roll for various things as I go. But let us visualize whirled peas. You have just jumped down the
Twisted,
back
ruined
of the now
carcass.
dead Hydra. Say it again.
Twisted, ruined carcass.
This Hydra carrion. Jump down and are walking along.
Did we snatch a single fang out of that for a memento?
You did not.
I mean,
So
if we're
too
going
late.
back, what if we go back and cut off all the heads and burn the stumps?
Actually, that's not a bad idea to just go ahead and real quick cut the heads off.
I mean, as we finish the fight, Diamondback has probably, 35, 40 more seconds of flaming sphere left and
It's
could
true.
presumably
Just burn it
start
all.
any number of forest fires.
Which would be very difficult to see.
Yeah, nobody would know when they're about to be killed by this forest fire.
My goodness, it's very hot in these.
Why don't
It could also overtake us.
That's fast. I'll tell you what we'll do. Why don't I'll let you retcon that to be whatever you want to do with the Hydra. That's totally cool with me. Why don't the four of you narrate? Four of you? Yeah. Oh, I've got Belvari on here twice. Why don't the four of you narrate? I'm going to real quickly go grab something over here. I'll be listening.
Yeah, so as soon as the thing dies, Diamondback spends the last, the last, I
8
think
rounds.
seven or 8 rounds that he's got Flaming Sphere working on just burning and charring the stumps or the heads and the
Right.
necks, just to like burn the thing as much as possible to try and keep it from regenerating. So you see him sort of
I think
on the
Inkating-
tail
Oh, sorry.
gesturing to like move this sphere around from point to point, and there's sizzling flesh and smoke.
Inkatink jumps in there real quick with his knife and just cuts out and pulls out unceremoniously one of the fangs of one of the heads just as a souvenir / proof so as to be believed.
Belvari would like to help cut things off, but only has a club, so
You got to have a table knife at least.
I mean, I could start a fire underneath each of the heads after. I mean, you've already got them started, so.
I got him started pretty good. I
Be right
would
back.
think. I guess Diamondback is interested in snakes, but I don't think we want to linger around for long enough for Diamondback to really like geek out over this.
Study it.
Diamondback should take one of its fangs.
Ingatink did.
That's actually, that's actually definitely something Diamondback would do. Diamondback has canonically a necklace of snake teeth, so yeah, he's gonna get a fang too. Diamondback and Inkating each grab some fangs, and Diamondback is gonna add this fang to his cool necklace as we go.
Okay. The largest of the fangs on this thing would be a good 16 inches, maybe 15, 14 inches. The smallest would be a couple of inches, the smallest teeth.
Okay. Is it possible? How long would it take for me to get a big one?
I mean, if you put your back into it, you can do it in a few minutes.
I do so.
If you're willing to carve out some gum.
Yeah, so Diamondback's dagger is like canonically a giant snake's tooth. So I think he's getting a spare.
That sounds good. Okay, that's great. And thank you for filling some airtime. I realized right before my road trip, I had found my lost dice and it clicked back in my memory.
Lost dice.
The lost dice.
That's really lucky because whenever I lose ice, it's gone by the time I find it.
Right. Not me. I keep my ice cold and my friends colder.
And my enemies even colder.
Why don't we jump back in? So you start on your way. Inkatink is immediately devoured. He is no longer with us. Just playing. For our listening audience, this is cut in post, so you didn't hear that. But you would have heard is that the joke is that Josh is out of the room. So, all right. Give me one sec. So you've made short work of this Hydra. To my surprise, short work of this Hydra, and are ready to
Head out.
travel on, my wayward players. Yeah, let's head out. Josh, I was just saying while you were gone, I found my long lost dice.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so let me.
And he was also saying that Inkatink was immediately devoured as soon as we left the Hydra as a location.
Me? So
This moment. My new character, Flim Flam Shim Shambles, a halfling traveling salesman of questionable trinkets, will be joining you shortly.
and shingles. All right.
Like
Well,
the
trinkets and
disease or the roof covering?
They're magical.
Dealer's
All right,
choice.
listen. I'm going to roll a few things here.
Flim Flam
Killed
Shimble
Matthew.
Shingles, questionable trinkets, quality shingles.
Okay. I rolled a little in advance so that I can do some narration magic instead of having to roll every 6 minutes. Just to tell you what's happening. So you jump down from this now terrifically odorous Hydra, the seared flesh, not actually smelling that bad. You've put the smell of a lot of meat. You jump down, and Inkatink, you still have a good solid direction to go. Tell me, in the four of you in this rope loop here, which position do you occupy as y'all are traveling? What on a clock face? If y'all are going towards 12 o'clock, where are you each?
6.
Okay.
10.
10.
If we're making a square around the torch.
3.
Okay, so I guess
12?
that leaves Inkatink back at like 9? Or no, 8?
I think that
So you're standing right
You're
next to Toll.
making a trapezoid that way.
Yeah.
Good.
Sorry. Yeah, I think Inkatink would probably be on the front half of the polygon.
So they're knowing which direction to follow you in by not by speech, but by you pulling, kind of leading the rope.
Right. Plus,
Yeah.
he's
The other
got
way-
he's got his big old beak pointed in the direction, so everyone can look at his beak and see pretty
Right.
easily.
And the other way that could have gone was, sorry, there may be other ways, but another way that could be for you to be giving voice commands if somebody else was in front or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. I just wanted to understand so I can narrate well.
I think he's trying to keep as silent as possible and lead by actual physical motion rather than talking, so as to keep their
Sounds good.
verbal imprint down.
So you walk and are moving cautiously, but not stealthily, not that slowly. Cautious, you're being aware and moving through this place. As you move, you travel for 10, 15 minutes, and it's uneventful. This is not a surprise to you. You've had some bursts of 15, 20, 30 minutes even of not much. However, it puts you on your edge because the longer it's possible your characters could start feeling this like looming dread that, the gamblers sometimes have, like the dice have got to fail on me any minute or something.
But the dice have already been rolled.
And they don't lice. So we find yourselves walking, and I don't know that any of your characters would have done the math on this, would have calculated this out, or even could have calculated this out. But to give you, the players, a sense of this, not counting the long rest you took when you found some shelter in a sturdy wigwam, not an abandoned little hut village, not counting that long rest, you have been about 2 hours of active engagement in this darkness. That's a lot of activity around you, and it's all blindly directed. It's chance that's happening. This is really in your hearts. I'm saying this for you to understand what your characters will be feeling. This is really pure, dangerous chaos.
Mhm.
So in the past 2 hours, you've had these encounters, but you did manage to, you chanced upon a place where you could rest that was surprisingly sturdy, gave you a long rest. It's been another 10 minutes. You're walking through, and there's nothing. You don't hear sounds. You don't, there's a little bit of normal rustling and occasional in the distance tree, something scrambling through the brush, but it doesn't come close enough for you to see. Minutes pass, 15 minutes, now 20, now 25. It's been half an hour. You hear occasional, very muted rustlings of trees, but the heaviness of this fog, this black mist, seems even to suppress any kind of breeze. There's just very, very mild occasional motions. It is still, and it's more still than you're used to. Is it because you've had half an hour now that feels like a couple of hours of inactivity? It's hard to say. You walk further, 35 minutes, 40 minutes. Inkatink, you are pulling forward. Up ahead of you and to the left, you and Toll each roll me a perception.
Captain.
It's a 9 for Toll.
Heck of a time to, because I have no bonuses to perception. 19.
Okay. You are so intently focused, Inkatink, ahead of you into the blackness. You're unlike the rest, you are not really looking at the visible area around you. You've gotten almost meditative and trance-like, pushing towards where you feel this urge, and it's causing you to gaze further out into the blackness rather than down at the 60-ish feet of dim you. And to your surprise, in the blackness ahead of you and a bit to the left, you see the faint shimmer of a, but it's very difficult to make out. If you're actually seeing it, it's strange in two ways. One, that you can hardly tell, and two, that it's in a place where nothing else can be seen.
I mean, it's
It is
literally
not-
the first light we've seen since coming into this place.
It is. It is not in your circle of view. It's past that. But how far, it's impossible to say because, it's black.
Right. So there's a light. Okay, so I think immediately he will come to a stop and point exactly in the direction of the light. Is it dead ahead in the direction of my focus?
So if you're traveling
off.
towards 12 o'clock on a clock, it's 11. You or Toll could have seen it first, but it turns out you were the first one.
Okay, I think if Toll is also up front, he taps Toll and then kind of puts his arm, he puts his shoulder at Toll's chin and points straight at it to try to give Toll a good indicator of where to look. And then he taps the other two guys and points as well. And then just
Check.
quietly says, light.
Uh,
15.
Dirty 20 on that one.
Whoa.
12.
Okay, it was a DC 10. Once Inkatink has pointed it out, you also think you can what he's talking about. It's not like a campfire. It's not like a torch. It's something more radiant, broad, but Toll, you can see it with a 20. You can see it. You don't see the light more clearly, but you're confident you see it. And you can make out one characteristic of it that is of note for you. You're able to pick out, Toll, that in spite of the sort of strange colorlessness vision by the Circle of the Night Watch, this light, or maybe for the strange colorlessness, this light seems as though it's a pure silvery white.
Compared to the sort of grayishness of the other light.
It's not doing the kind of either flickering or shading that you would expect from like fire, which is orange, and adjusting for the way you would imagine a yellowish light would cast a shadow, cast its hues, colorlessness. This one seems to have a sort of more clean, stark whiteness to it.
I'm going to let go of the torch and see if I can still see it.
You let go of the torch and are still able just barely to see it. It doesn't change in its intensity. However, you do lose the 60-foot radius around you that you can dimly see. You see that faint glow in the distance.
Okay, I'll grab back onto the torch. Yeah, I'll grab back onto the torch, and I'll say, it's visible even without the Circle of the Night Watch. I wonder if it has something to do with the origin of this darkness.
Inkatink is going to pick up 2 sticks off the ground at his earliest convenience as they walk forward, and he's going to point one of them straight at his focus. He's going to point the other stick at this light, and as they keep walking, he's going to keep track of them and see if that second branch begins to deviate at all.
Okay, and I'll defer the actual start of the walking until other people have said their bit.
Does the quality of the light seem like the sort of light emitted by the Baisugen?
It does not.
Okay.
As Toll describes it, actually, you know what? Toll, will you roll me a... What's the attribute that would be good for like able to describe things well? Maybe either intelligence or charisma.
I think intelligence is pretty good.
Depends on whether the description is intended to be emotionally evocative or scientifically accurate.
Yeah, I think we want to evoke memory.
Charisma.
Yeah, I think so too.
Memory?
Performance.
I would think that if it's memory based, that would be
performance,
intelligence.
Ratatouille smelling the cartoon Ratatouille smelling the thing. Toll, will you make me, Patrick? Will you make me a straight charisma roll?
Sure. 18.
Oh, okay, that's nice and high. The way Toll is able to describe it, though maybe he himself doesn't actually say it because it is tickling at the back of his mind as well. Several of you get you are reminded in this idea of whiteness of light of um, the a couple of you will have thought of a strange vision as you encountered a character some of you know as, but others of you will perhaps have this tickling sensation of the whiteness of a unicorn's light.
The allegedly real character known as Morris,
Allegedly
according to
real.
Inkatink.
That's right.
Aren't I the only one that's met him in this subgroup?
Let me check. Yes.
I
Never
have.
mind.
Yeah.
Met
Yep.
him.
Sorry, I was thinking of the other group. Great. So you know what? This is. I'm going to re-narrate that. Toll, you describe this kind of light, and you're trying to say it. You're most closely associating with Morris, but when you say it, it seems to have a to these other guys. They sort of because you're describing it so and so earnestly with the sensations that you encountered it, they're actually recalling seeing a unicorn glow.
Hey, I've seen a unicorn.
You have.
Me too.
We should go over there. I bet you it's a unicorn.
Unicorn would be great right about now.
You want to go?
As long as it's not too far off course.
Or it's
Could-
like a giant fangly fish with a unicorn dangly thing that's designed to lure us in.
Oh boy.
Inkatink would like to walk in the direction of his focus a bit longer and see how much off the path and how far away it is by doing his fancy little stick, which he demonstrates and
Yeah.
explains
As
to
you-
everybody.
Directly.
How are you holding the torch though?
That's a
I
good
have the
point.
torch in one hand and I have the two sticks in the other hand, just holding the angle with my hand.
Okay.
So as you walk directly towards where the pressure is taking you towards your focus, it becomes obvious that the light is not very far away and would be, 20, 30, 40 paces out of your path.
Okay.
Just in the forest, through some bush.
I'd like for us to get on the other side of the light and then come back at it at an angle. So if we need to run away, we're not having to do a huge button. But yeah, let's go check it out.
I made it sounds like we're already on the other side of the light.
Okay.
It was
Yeah,
to our
so-
left.
So you walk forward until, and this glow can be, it's very faint. No matter, you're getting closer and it's still really faint, but it passes, you would say 30 feet. You're guessing it's now where it would be is sort of, you can see it in the shadows of the brush and you pass by it. It's now, if you're going towards 12 o'clock, it's now roughly at the 8 o'clock direction of you, 7 o'clock. And you think it's probably 30, 40, 20, 30, 40 feet away.
Who's taking point?
Toll is willing to, though perhaps not the best equipped for it.
Do it.
All right,
Inkatink's
Toll.
got some expeditious retreat cantrips out. Any
Nice.
hands one to everybody? He's got like 5 of them. So
You walk towards this spot. Y'all are not on any kind of path or road. You're just in this forest. However, like all of the forest, it's a mature forest, so it's not super thick. It's not, you're not having to cut with machetes to get through. You're able to move through by pushing aside brush and occasional bushes. The faint glow is coming from a spot on the ground where you weren't able to see anything else, but as it comes into your field of view, it's a large, pale animal laying on the ground, breathing shallowly. It moves a bit, but makes no sound. Its back is to you. It does appear to be a pale, like I said, a large, pale creature, completely laying on the ground. It's probably 20 feet away.
What is its nature?
You can tell that it is laying there, breathing shallowly, and not it moving a little bit, but not making it. What it appears to you is that its back is to you, and you can see its belly somewhat rising and falling with uncomfortable breath.
I think Inkatink would like to whistle quietly to it just to alert it that there's something around rather than trying to touch it and startle it.
You whistle. It does
What does
not
that sound like?
Sorry.
There seems to be no response. It doesn't seem to specifically respond.
I'd like to look for traps around. Can I do
How
that?
much time and motion do you want to put into that?
Like a minute, and from where I'm standing.
Okay.
It seems reasonable to walk in a circle around traps.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we just have to all walk together. It's
Yeah.
awkward.
Yeah.
So we walk in a
I'm going to
circle.
roll. You guys roll. I'm going to roll a group perception check to help me understand. I'll do it with advantage to help me understand this because y'all are acting as this like single large creature, kind of. Okay. You walk around and you cut a berth, staying about the same distance from it, 20 feet. As you round one angle of it, you are not finding any kind of trap, but you do actually end up seeing that it does appear to be a unicorn, its head lifting slowly off the ground and falling back down. As you round it more fully, and you can see its belly, the size of maybe squirrels, it's too dark to tell what, scamper into the forest from near its round belly. Coming closer, you a few feet closer, you realize that it is a unicorn laying on the ground and bleeding. Whatever these creatures were devouring something around its belly.
Does
should
the
get a- Go ahead.
I will walk up to the unicorn and see if it is a zombie unicorn.
It does not appear to be.
Okay, I will cure wounds.
Love
Dude,
it.
use the second level.
It gets 4 hit points.
Okay, give me 1 second. I have to pull up the.
Rolled a 1.
Sorry. Okay, I had to bring up the sheet for one. Okay. I'm sorry. You give it.
Yeah.
Okay. You seem to stem some of the profuse bleed coming out of it. There is,
Is it still
from
just
where
sitting
you're
there?
looking, there is a clear hole in its midsection where the things were.
Can I make a nature check to figure out what the heck kind of creatures are trying to chew on this unicorn?
Give it a roll.
Okay.
I would like to make a medicine check similarly to find out if it's making death saves and is in imminent danger of dying.
Both roll those.
17 on the nature check
cure
to figure
wounds
out
fix
what's
that?
chewing on it.
With a 17, you figure out that it is something like a rat or squirrel. Just basically, it looks to you like some kind of scavengers that were starving. Small creatures found it.
I will start a small fire here. I know it doesn't really push back the dark, but
Okay.
Can I investigate how long it's been there? How long it appears to have been there?
Give it a try. Roll an investigation check. First, Diamondback, what did you roll?
Medicine check is an 11.
This creature is close to death and may have died since you got here, if not for Belvari's intervention.
Belvari, keep pumping that healing into it, man.
That
Agreed.
sounds like a great plan. Does anyone have copious amounts of items you
Healing.
want to use? Because I don't want to keep using spell slots.
Right. Hey, Sir Robert.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit this unicorn with a false life spell.
No,
Okay.
don't do that.
Before
What
you do
that's gonna
that-
do?
Before you do that, hold on. Tell me that because I know that's going to take a moment to cast. While y'all were did Toll, you roll to investigate how long it's been here. Was that what it was?
Yeah, how long it's been. Well, how long it's been in its present state, not necessarily located in its present location.
Okay.
Oh, I can't do that.
Roll me an investigation check.
That was a 16.
Okay. It looks like not. It looks like the. Sorry, let me say it this way. You discover a set of older looking wounds that have bled, maybe have some infection, scratch mark. They do not look fresh. They were from some prior encounter. It looks to you as from these creatures that were here were simply opportunistic and are very fresh. Your best picture with an 18 is that this unicorn was lost in here, as everything in here is lost. Got into some kind of encounter, because who knows why. That encounter it lost, but was interrupted. Maybe it killed the other creature. You can't tell. Came here, staggered. Perhaps it fell or something. And as it lay trying to recuperate, these other creatures came and it was not able to fend them off. That's your best story that you're able to put together for what you're seeing. You would guess that it's been the fight that it was in. The wounds have like largely closed-ish, so maybe half a day ago. It's so hard to tell in the darkness, but it's not fresh.
The important thing is that whatever messed this thing up is probably not still super close by.
Probably not. That's your guess. That's a good solid guess with an 18.
And this unicorn was living by the Tim McGraw mandate, live like you're dying. So good for him.
Okay. So, no, sorry, I meant, I was just moving.
Okay.
The
No,
next
it's
thing in the
great.
queue.
No. That's perfect. Okay.
Matt.
The spell I
You
wanted
were-
to do, I cannot actually do. Well, Diamondback says there's nothing I can do for it until after it's,
Dead.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess I will use another spell slot. I'll cast it at second level this time, so he'll get
Okay.
at least get 5 hit points. He gets 11 hit points.
Okay.
That's not bad.
The unicorn is significantly better. You can tell it's sorry, that was me. You can tell it is still deeply wounded. However, it does not look as though it is in peril for its life. Instead, your impression is that it is stable, but still hurt quite a lot. That is to say,
Kind of like me.
yeah, I'll tell you players in a moment, more mechanical description, but it appears to have no more active bleeding internally. The wounds are not closed and knitted and healed. The older wounds are still kind of festering somewhat. It's weak. And to give you all a sense of this, it's roughly at a quarter hit points. So to give you players, it's hard to describe that accurately.
Inkatink. Oh, sir,
Go
go.
ahead.
I was going to say Inkatink gestures for everybody to bring the torch over to the unicorn and place it, like rest it on his shoulder or whatever, so that the unicorn can see. And then Inkatink uses minor illusion to show the unicorn. Go ahead.
When you do that, one of you will not be able to see because it can do 4 at a time. So that's okay with me. If you all keep holding it and just rest it on there, it'll have no effect. I don't know whether you would know that or not. I'll let you determine that.
No, we
but if
know,
one of you
we know
volunteers
how
not
it works.
Inkatink can
Right?
take his hand off,
Yeah.
and he doesn't have to be able to see. Like, he's visualizing, he's making the illusion anyway. So, if that's okay. So Inkatink shows the unicorn an image of the unicorn walking with the group, and the group emerging from the darkness, and there's another unicorn there. And so he's trying to communicate, we know where another unicorn is, follow us and we'll lead you to it. So since
you
they
do
don't have
that-
language in common, he knows that this is an intelligent creature. He's just going to try to show him cartoon stuff.
You do that, it lifts its head and makes some sort of grunting sounds, kind of a, and it attempts to tell you've heard unicorns speak their
Mhm.
language before. It attempts to speak altering and difficult. It does not trying to defend itself. It assumed that it would be dead now, and so it's not fight you or anything.
I guess this is an
Come with me if you want to live.
That's what we say in unicorn. I suppose somebody can take a hold of its mane, because I'm sure it doesn't want to have a rope attached to it. Unless, somebody can make an animal handling check, I guess. Somebody who's not me.
Should we try to speak to it in Druidic first to see if it vibes with that?
Can't
Yeah,
hurt.
druids, get to it. Do something. This is not the
Yeah, why is the
Necromancer's
sorcerer
thing.
talking? The sorcerer steps out of the ring.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
in Druidic, Toll's going to say, sup, bro. We are...
Suppity?
This is... Yeah, in Druidic, Toll speaks with a slang dialect.
You fly, jive turkey?
But it hears the Shakespearean one and thinks you're saying, "Wilt thou dine with me tonight, brother?" Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll say in Druidic, we're going to attempt to move you somewhere safer. Will you allow us to?
Is that true?
Well, if it goes with us, it'll be safer than if it didn't.
Yeah.
Safety in numbers, baby.
I mean, we might as well tell him, hey, we're going deeper into this darkness, but we have a ability, we think, to navigate it and back out.
I was going to say, we don't even know how deep the darkness is, so all we know is we're just still traveling in the darkness. We don't know if we're going deeper or emerging.
Belvari, what are you wearing?
Oh, I don't know. Just sort of
Khakis.
adventurer's clothing.
Give me a description of what you're wearing on your, let's say, above the waist.
Oh, I do have an item.
Just describe imaginatively the basic kind of thing. I'll add as much flourish as is necessary.
Yeah, I mean, just like a jacket kind of thing.
Okay.
Leather.
Tunic or something.
Yeah, tunic. There we go.
Loose fitting, tight to you, druidish, or
yeah, it would be a little bit more towards the traveler than the druid side of things. But yeah,
how exposed are your arms and your skin, like is this a thing with big armholes and no sleeves, or is this like, are you bundled up and hard to see?
Oh, I'm kind of bundled up, but I do have a memory that tickles in my head, and I show the unicorn the mark on my back that was put there by another unicorn.
This when you do that, you turn yourself, and perhaps for the first time, you others see that Belvari has some kind of odd figure scarred into the flesh of his back, 3/4 of the way down his back in the softer region. It's not anything you especially recognize, but it's some kind of shape that's clearly not just a random scratch or a wound or something. He's got like a scar on it. The unicorn, seeing that, Belvari stretches his head and horn towards you, but can't quite reach.
I'll get closer.
Okay. Closer to. Sorry, just give me a sense of what you're doing.
Did the
Closer
unicorn
to.
stand up when when
No,
I got
it
it the
just
second time?
it's laying. It just is. It lifted its head.
Okay. Yeah, I'll kneel down, kind of, I guess, moving the thing closer to its eye, the
Okay.
mark.
When you get enough, Belvari, this unicorn, in any way, quickly or aggressively, it starts before you get close enough to like its head. It takes the horn. It's an appendage of this unicorn's body. It's relatively adept at moving it, so it's not like clumsy like you would with a stick. It's this creature is able to do finer motion, and it seems to trace part of that same symbol, and then it rests the horn very lightly near the center of this little shape. The shape is in itself only 6 inches across. It's not like this some huge, or something. It's just a
Mm-hmm.
small set of scratches. It rests its horn, kind of the tip of it pressing in near the center.
Huh. I don't know what to do. I kind of turn around and pat the unicorn on the nose.
And it kind of shakes, like flicking its mane a little bit, and kind of pokes its horn as though towards that same spot.
Gotcha. I would say in Druidic, would you come with us?
Can't really understand you or do anything. It's laying down for
Um,
one and weak, but it basically
yeah.
is just doing the same thing,
Um,
as
can
though trying
I?
to touch your thing.
Okay. I will allow it to touch it again. I don't know.
Sure. You kneel down, Bovari, not sure what to make of this. Then you show it the symbol again. It does the same. It doesn't trace this time, but it finds that center and gives us slight pressure. And then after a second or two, thrusts forward, not sharp. This is your side, Belvari.
Okay.
It hurts. It is not a pleasant sensation. It probably goes a good 2 or 3 inches in. The horn goes 2 or 3 inches into your side on that symbol, and
Okay.
you bleed onto
I
its spiraling horn.
grit my teeth.
Right? And it just for a few moments lays there, piercing you, and seconds pass, 20, 30 seconds. It pulled slowly, I'll say 10, 20 seconds actually about. It slowly pulls its horn back out and lays its head back on the ground, seeming perhaps tired or something. There is some on the last 2 or 3 inches, just blood, not flesh stuck to it, but on the last 2 or 3 inches of the horn, kind of in the grooves and spirals of the horn. Belvari, you have a hole. You're wounded. Roll me a D. Actually, you know what? Instead of 1d12, roll me 3d4.
Six.
You take 6 damage from this bizarre thing that this unicorn did.
Well, let's get out of here. This guy's a jerk.
Yeah, I think Inkatink gives the unicorn a kind of quizzical look and goes to put a hand on the mane of the unicorn and kind of gestures like, I'll hold on to your mane, you walk with me kind of thing. Is he intelligent and compliant enough to do that?
So when you were looking at it, its belly was still open. It wasn't bleeding internally, but to stand would be to eviscerate itself.
So it's. I didn't realize it was still laying down this whole time. Okay, so do we need to make a medicine check to try to figure out a way to close this thing up?
It's okay with me. Make a medicine check.
I mean, I think
I'll do that.
Which of us have
who's
the
got a
highest-
bonus?
Yeah.
Who
I've
has
got
a bonus
+2
to medicine? Okay.
I've got +4.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so Tall and whoever has the next best should
I rolled a
cooperate
13.
to
Well,
do
yeah,
a
so-
medicine check.
whoever's got the best bonus. Okay, so Belvari does what Belvari does. Inkatink would like to give the help action to Toll so that Toll can have advantage to try to either improve upon or undo the terrors of and then improve upon the situation that the unicorn is in.
Go for it, Toll. Roll me that medicine check.
All right.
I'll also give you guidance so you can add a D4.
Nice.
Okay, so I'll add a D4 to this 21 I got with advantage.
Oh,
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. If only
Yeah,
we
so
had a
that's a
bard, we could have a nice
22.
little.
Yes, Robert, when are you going to get a soundboard like the shock jocks on morning radio?
Coming out live. Sorry.
um,
Reigning from his royal D&D court, it's Sir Robert. Wap, wap, wap.
that's right. Patrick knows too much. So we, Pat Toll, you seeing its condition, right? It's been laying there and it did this weird, super strange thing with Belvari just now. And Belvari, to his credit or maybe folly or something, gritted his teeth and let it happen. And then this unicorn stopped and pulled down. But you Toll inspect belly. When Belvari healed it, it stopped its internal bleeding. And you're looking at this. Basically, some of the, it's laying on its side, have sort of spilled out of the open belly. You have the impression, the strong, clear impression that you know what to do here, at least to be somewhat helpful, and you can slide these back in so that it's, the organs are back approximately where they should be. And you think with a 24, did you say?
22, I think, is what I had.
You think that if the set of you were able to come up with a good length of rope or cloth or something, you could, in a little bit gross way, but you could bind it shut and hope that it would heal some, such that it would be able to bear the weight of its, innards pressing on this thing. It's not a huge slit, but it is, it's a very delicate spot for a horse that's walking.
Inkatink is wearing
Okay.
rather voluminous black robes, and so loose black robes. So he's going to take those off, and he'll be down to basically his kind of small clothes. He's got some pants that go down to his knees, and he'll offer that up to be, reduced to strips and
Bandage, basically.
created into
If that's
large bandage.
If that's gonna
strips.
wreck your AC,
No, it has nothing to do with my AC.
oh, okay, yeah, then go for it.
If y'all have 50 feet of rope, that's like a usual rope length. Besides the rope you're using to stay together, if anybody has rope, you could get it around the horse a couple of times.
Mhm.
I'm just saying that's the kind of thing you're trying to do.
I think I do still have my little vine friend, but the cloth would probably be better.
Okay. So that much cloth Inkatink as basically padding over where. Okay, so let me go back a step and describe this. Toll, because you're capable with this, you feel confident. You pick up a piece of a bit of its intestines and push it back in, and there's some kidney or liver, perhaps you're not sure exactly, but you slide it into the place where it feels like is where it came from, and you're able to you're not like arranging heavily the stuff back in, and it wasn't all strewn about. It was, it had come out a bit, and these creatures were gnawing.
Just like doing a
You're able
puzzle.
to say it again.
Just like doing a puzzle.
Just like doing a puzzle. That's right. And when Belvari had healed it, it had gone to the most dire parts, which were where, say, a bit of kidney had been gnawed by one of these rats or whatever. They're intact now. It's not in danger of dying that way. You're able to push it, pull the belly closed. Inkatink, folding your clothes over once or twice, y'all are able to hold that as basically a patch against that open wound. And you need to bind it somehow, right, with some long strip or something. So that's what I was saying. Rope or something like that is what y'all would be inclined towards. If you have rope, I don't even know what you have in your.
I don't have any. I have used it and have not been able to find more.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no rope.
Toll, don't you have rope? Because you've got actual. I thought you brought an actual adventuring pack of stuff.
I don't have rope. I think I might have at some point, and something happened to it.
I have a sling that we could.
I mean,
Probably not.
so why isn't your robe a good choice?
No, the robe can act as a
Around the
bandage,
horse.
but then we need to. Yeah, I guess we can use the
Oh.
rope that we've been using for safety, Donut, and we can basically just violate every rule in the HR pamphlet that I handed out and all go off rope and just hold on to the torch together.
I guess so. Unicorns
Yeah.
are important people.
At least they're
Okay.
useful.
Tell me what you do.
We take the rope and we bind it around the unicorn, and I mean, with the 22 medicine check, isn't that part of it that we're binding it up?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yep.
Your mouths of the actions you're taking. So yeah, okay. So it's hard because it's a horse, and lifting a horse is harder than not
Matt,
lifting a-
what if you turned your staff into a snake and had it constrict around the belly?
Doesn't do that
Mm.
anymore.
It doesn't do that anymore? Oh.
Does
Yeah.
something better. But
No,
not
it's
that
not
anymore.
Times
better.
they are a changing.
It's way more intense.
So yeah, so you manage to get this rope. You're able to loop it a good 3 times around, and still have maybe four times around, and still have enough to tie a solid knot. The unicorn, aware of what's happening, basically starts kind of shaking its head and mane, and is able to stumble to its feet. As it does so, Belvari, it gets to its feet, and it's not steady on its feet at all. But it takes its horn, Belvari, and taps it on you, on your like shoulder.
Does that fix me?
Inkatink feeds the
Roll me a
unicorn.
perception check. All of
Okay.
you, roll me a perception check.
19.
Oh wow.
22.
Nat
Six-
1 for Toll.
16.
Fixing up that unicorn took it out of him.
A bug flies in your eye.
Roll me another d20 toll to see the intensity of that. 1.
10.
Okay, so just a normal failure. Yeah, basically a normal critical failure. Toll, you are just watching the unicorn stand up, making sure it's having a normal kind of bowel movement. The rest of you see it tap its horn on Helvari's shoulder, and all three of you are surprised to see that its horn is completely clean.
Huh. I guess they're magic.
Either that or this unicorn is a vampire and has absorbed Belvari's blood into himself through his horn. Inkatink tries to feed the unicorn one of the good berries from Belvari because I'm sure this thing is thirsty and hungry.
Remind me what that does. It gives it a full sate of its hunger and thirst.
Yeah, and it
And,
gives it one more hit point.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
So
Okay.
at least it will no longer be dehydrated and hungry.
Okay. The unicorn seems to be, by the minute that you're here, y'all have been here for a good 20 minutes now. By the minute that you're here, it seems to be stronger and like kind of getting its bearings, is very amenable to being with you. It is not trying to hurt you or anything.
Okay. Did we ever find out what the name of that other unicorn was?
Nope. You called her unicorn.
Wow.
That was probably her name.
Racist. Okay.
But correct.
Factual, but reprehensible.
Remember
Like the
that, Matt?
Nazis. Sorry. Okay. Well, anything else holding us here, or
The
shall we?
the Starfall Collective condemns Nazism in all its forms.
Past, present, and future. We hate space Nazis just as much as historical ones.
And we seem to maybe... You there, Sir Robert?
Neutral.
Uh-oh. All I
He's
heard
been
was
canceled.
neutral. You can't be neutral about Nazis. You have to hate them.
Yes, Sir Robert, we can't hear you.
That's
He
right.
seems
That's
to
right.
have,
Free
seems to
market
have
capitalism
frozen
for
in-
us.
he seems to have frozen in Twitch and YouTube as well.
He still has a red dot, so we're getting that recording.
Getting those
The
good
recording
digits.
is good.
I still can't get over that bowel
Okay.
movement. That bowel movement quip was choice.
I don't know what you're saying.
Sir Robert
Because you're
said
putting the
that
bowels back in. Bowel movement.
it only gets funnier with the explanation.
You're moving a little bit, Sir Robert. Can you
All right,
you
so
talk?
we've healed this fool. We've patched him up. We've given him our rope and our cloak off our back. We've fed him. We've given him an exit strategy. I don't know what else we can do.
You had your hands together? Was that a clap?
Inkatink goes through the HR manual and explains this is how to find us whistle to the unicorn and does the little whistle for him. So if we get separated, he can whistle and the unicorn can find him.
And
This is great. Sir Robert can't disagree with anything we say. I ride the black dragon and I fly on the black dragon straight to my focus.
There's not a black dragon.
Not with that attitude.
Also, black dragons are evil.
Yeah, there's no black dragon, Josh. We're in a mystically dark forest with a unicorn. Get your head on straight.
That's right. Quit saying absurd things, okay? Get your head on the ground with the unicorn in the real world. I like the part where it sounded like Matt almost said the Starfall Collective.
You mean that's not what we are?
No, we're
really
not.
needed to jump in. I really needed to jump in and make sure we weren't. Everybody would understand that we're just joking about Nazis and we don't support Nazism.
I'm
Nazis
100%
are
sure
bad.
that Jared will censor all the Nazi talk. Hey, Jared, this is Josh. Please cut all the Nazi talk.
Yeah, Josh,
Also,
this
all
is
of the
going
black
out
dragon
live.
stuff.
Hey,
Oh, no.
Hello.
am I here?
Yes,
hear
we
you.
can hear you.
Hi, Sir Robert. Welcome
Great.
back.
I heard everything that y'all said, but you were not hearing me. And all I said about Nazis was for any kind of terrible derision of any kind of people. And in Christ, there is neither free nor slave, nor Jew nor Greek. Nonetheless, in my opinion, the Starfall Collective should just be a storytelling vehicle and should have no opinions about anything in the real world.
Here, here.
No.
But we make an exception for Nazis and we hate them.
I do not hate Nazis, but I do hate Nazism. Okay, how about that? Whatever, I don't care. So the unicorn, sorry, the distinction I should make there is obviously that the people are still people, however misguided, and ought to be loved as people. Okay. Unicorn stands, and you notice that it has a completely clean horn now. It's for you, like it's totally seems to be with you guys. It's not trying to bolt off or anything. It recognizes it's an intelligent creature. It recognizes what you've done, that you've helped it. You don't have a good, clean way of communicating. It does seem to have communicated a little with you, with Belvari some, and there you go.
Painfully.
Painfully.
Pointedly.
So we've got a unicorn with us now.
It seems you do.
Belvari will now start doing his passive sort of looking. If we see a strong wizard's tower or something.
Do me a favor, Belvari, then, and roll me. I'm going to have you roll stab roll just so I can give you a synopsis over time. Roll me, let's call it 3 times survival with disadvantage.
Okay. Will do. 9 and 11, so 9.
Okay.
Oh, wait, plus 6. So 15. 3 and looks like 20, so 9. And 20 and 8, so 14.
So what were your 3 rolls?
14, 9, and 15, I believe.
Okay. Sounds good. Give me 1 sec. I need that and
Got 2 20s in there. Natural
Okay.
20s.
all right. That sounds good. I just was figuring out what you would have seen on the way, and I will describe to you the next few minutes. up until you had seen this unicorn, you had not seen anything for you know, it had been that eerie sort of heavy quiet for a little over an hour. You have been working with this unicorn for maybe 20 minutes, and you start walking again, Inkatink. How are you all making progress now? You still have this torch, but you no longer have the rope. I mean, you know, the rope is on the unicorn, and now you have a unicorn.
So now all of us have to hold on to the torch. If one of us lets go, we need to pretty quickly find each other again. And in the meantime, we're all kind of.
Yeah. I think I'm going to put a hand on Tall's shoulder and the other hand on the torch.
Oh, good call.
Why
good
don't
call.
we all put a hand on the unicorn and on the torch?
So the unicorn
You all
can
can
be
all
in the
walk
middle.
on one side of the unicorn with a hand, because it's a long creature. Horses are, one of you could be near the head, go down its back basically, and walk aside. I'm just describing how Belvari's. I'm not recommending it. I'm just describing how Belvari's solution would look to our listening audience.
Yeah.
Heck, Inkatink already knows exactly the direction to go, whether he can see or not. Inkatink's happy to just guide the unicorn, like basically push on it, pull on it to let it know to go slightly left, slightly right.
If you can't
is a-
see, you can run into a tree.
Yeah, but not if I'm walking right behind the unicorn. Like,
Well, the unicorn
I'm going to
can
count
run.
on you guys to keep us from walking into a rock, a bush, or a tree, but I'm going to let you know, generally speaking, which direction to go.
Okay.
I'm the one who needs to see the least. The last thing we want is for this unicorn to get hurt again. So, cool. All right.
Okay, so
Inkatink.
we're all touching each other and the unicorn. Or how are we arranged?
2 on one side of the unicorn, 2 on the other, holding the torch over its back with the torch resting on the unicorn so it can see. And Inkatink simply placing his hand on one of the unicorn's back haunches, and he'll either, push from one side or, reach up higher and pull to let the unicorn know to come close, go left or right. It's a smart, it's an intelligent beast. He doesn't have to accomplish husbandry with this thing. He just needs to let it know. So,
yeah, the unicorn quickly is able to pick up on this pattern of what y'all are doing and does not object.
Oh,
I should say also,
stuff that. I get a stick and I point the stick in the direction that we need to go. Everybody can just follow the direction of the stick. I don't have to tell them anything. I'm walking in the dark, pointing a stick ahead.
The light that the unicorn gives off is not, like I said, it's super dim. It is not enough to illuminate anything, but you are sort of, even here right next to it, aware of it. But it's not like lighting up you guys or anything like that. Sure. That said, the torch you're able to see, and resting on the unicorn, he's able to see. You make your way forward.
Yep.
As you go, you find yourself just another 10 minutes has passed. 15. You hear, as you have, almost nothing. No rustling of trees, no breezes to speak of. You hear an occasional scamper in the brush somewhere, in some random direction. Nothing that's coming for you. There are occasional sounds in the distance that you can hear of creatures maybe fighting or dying, but most of them seem far enough away, off to your left or right, that they are not concerning you. And 10, 20 minutes pass, another 30 minutes. Inkatink. Sorry, not Inkatink. As you're guiding them forward, Diamondback, Toll, and Belvari, because you three can see. You start noticing that y'all are passing nearby what appear to be dilapidated stone structures, or maybe not stone,
Mhm.
but some kind of, it could be brick or stone or something, but sturdier than any of the kind of village stuff that you grew up in, which were mostly wood or thatch or something like that. Garriott, you'll remember Miradow had some river stone huts. Uh,
Mhm.
these are stronger looking than those. They're chiseled stone, but very old or at least very dilapidated. You pass over the next half hour one here and there that comes into your field of view, an occasional uh, little pile of rock that perhaps at some point was the corner of something. As you walk further, you're continuing in the same direction. Diamondback, Toll, and Belvari, at some point, the direction Inkatink is pointing you towards comes to what appears to be a wall of this at an angle to you.
Of stone.
A wall of stone. It is not a it is not a massive, huge wall. It's 6 or 8 feet high as far as best you can tell. It's dark. This is not the black stone that you're used to from your town. This is just normal stone, and you're coming at it from a kind of an angle so that you're approaching it maybe like a 30-degree, 45-degree angle, not like square in front of you, but along its side. It is enough that you can't see either end of it in your circle of vision.
Let's turn so that we're the direction in which we are least, least far away from the direction Inkatink wants us to go, and
Yeah.
go along it that way, looking for a way through,
You walk alongside this
and
wall, and
tell
Inkatink,
Inkatink, "Hey, there's a wall."
yeah, great. The unicorn is not interested in slamming into it, so it turns itself. Inkatink, your pressure that you feel, you are getting closer, but at a little bit of an angle. You're not like going directly towards it anymore. They've explained the situation, but there's a wall, so it's tall enough that it would be very difficult to get over, and probably you wouldn't all be able to see if one of you clambered over at a time. You want to keep walking? Is everything, y'all are good with what I described?
Yeah.
Okay. You keep walking, and it doesn't take very long. There are still no creatures around that you have encountered. It's still just deathly quiet. Well, sorry, it's still very silent. I don't mean to say specifically deathly quiet. It's just a very silent wood. And after a bit of time, there are a couple of places where the wall has collapsed partially, putting, a 1 or 2 foot gap up the ground, little bits and pieces of this wall. Where it has collapsed, there appears to be, as best you can tell, interior spaces. This is the wall of some kind of structure. Walking for some distance, not too far, a good couple 100 feet perhaps, there is an opening in the wall. The base of the wall seems to have a clear and designed end, but the wall itself has collapsed here. And then you can see as you get to that spot that about 30 feet further on, the wall resumes. This is some kind of intentional opening. The state of this wall, by the way, the state of everything you've seen, it's hard to know for sure because who knows what's happening in this place. But either this place is very, very old and overgrown or something, or it at least looks like it and is dilapidated, and there's a lot of vegetation from the forest. So it's certainly not a new place. It's not like a big shiny palace or something like that. It's an old ruin.
Okay. I guess let's head in. I get Inkatink picks up a stone and tosses a stone in, just in case there's like, some sort of giant snake waiting to strike at the first thing that lands.
What happens to the stone?
You toss a stone, Inkatink, or sorry, rather, you can't see this.
Right. What does the
Uh,
feedback see
Inkatink
happens?
Inkatink puts his hand on the torch and lifts it up off of the unicorn for a moment, looks around, sees what's going on, puts he has a he'll tap on the unicorn's haunch 2 times to let the unicorn know that he's going to do this, and he's done this several times.
That's actually the
just to-
signal to kick the nearest bird. So
Oops.
Sure.
Good thing there aren't any
Unicorn-
birds around.
bird person.
The unicorn is able to understand what's happening.
Yeah.
But Inkatink, when you do that, yeah, you pick up the torch. You get this sense of this, and I'm gonna interject that this is where you throw a stone while you're holding the torch, so you can.
Yeah.
The stone flies a good 30 feet and clatters on what sounds like stone paving of some kind, and then off into onto nothing, dirt or something. From what you can see, if you as you're looking in there, this wall seems to be 15-ish feet thick, and then bend around, so maybe the size of the room in the wall, but it doesn't seem to be like one large building. It's a wall with spaces or something. It's a thick wall.
So like Jericho type deal.
Sure.
Structural. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Or who knows what those are. I just mean it's got spaces in it, structural for who knows, filled with wood to make it cheaper, whatever. But it's got some spaces in the thick wall.
So Belvari says, "Hey, you guys, just wait here for a second." And he turns into a giant spider. Lets go of the torch, attaches a piece of web to each person and the unicorn and the torch, and he heads off with his 10 feet of blind sight to explore this area.
Yeah.
Are you big enough
Sorry.
Are you big enough for somebody else to ride on you?
No.
Okay.
And I just need to ask real quickly, Belvari, the giant spider, has tried to attach spider web to you guys. Do you consent? Do your characters allow that?
As long as he doesn't
Sweet.
call me a crow.
Spider web. Love it.
The
Let's
giant
go.
spider does not say anything.
I rolled for the amenability of the unicorn, and I rolled a 1, which is not amenable, and for the intensity of its distaste for this, and it rolled a 3 on another 1 to 20. It objects.
Okay.
It objects you putting the thread on it. It does not doesn't want to mess with that.
Okay, I don't attach it to the unicorn.
Okay, just telling y'all what the situation was. Matt, are you there? You're not frozen?
Hi.
Great. You just were still making sure.
Stick it together
Belvari,
with the silk.
can you guys turn off your stuff for a minute? Your audio, and I'll signal or something. Cole, have you stopped yourself from hearing us?
Yes, I will remove my headphones.
Sure. Belvari, you are moving through this space. This is a really different space than anything you've encountered, except for the Black City. It's not like the Black City, the Lake City.
Uh-huh.
It's obviously different, but it does have and it has a set of buildings inside. It does not appear to be made for the same kind of living of many people in that, and thicker, and it seems to you well fortified, um, and also, like I said, very, very old. There are plenty of places. There are plenty of openings that you can go through. As you cross what appears to be something like a piazza or a open space in front of the wall, and pass a building or two, there is one center building that's very sturdily built and appears to be a good 30, 40 feet tall, with a few its own smaller its own um, similarly defensive seeming wall, and then a building inside. It is as though this is a more protected space inside this protected space.
Gotcha.
Very old. You could go in if you want. There are plenty of openings. You don't sense anything in particular here,
Hmm.
except for forest.
Gotcha. So one thing, just so you know, I can climb difficult surfaces, and also I have web sense, so I can know the exact location of any creature in contact with the web.
Okay,
So as I'm going, I'm kind of
stringing
spreading
some web.
this kind of out, yeah, so that I can
Okay.
notice if anyone is trying to cut me off or anything.
Okay. There is a doorway that is very large. I say a doorway; it's like a set of doorways. It seems to you, and also there are some windows, as you can sort of sense up above on the height of this structure. How do you want to approach going in, if you even want to approach going into this part?
Yeah, I'll climb up and try to go in through the windows.
Okay, you do so, and you're stringing, thread behind you as you go to climb up into the along the walls and ceiling part of the structure. By and large, this whatever ceiling there was has collapsed, but there are very old timbers and rafters. Um, you know, some of them still attached, some of them angled against the floor and the wall. Much has collapsed here that is not stone. The stone is still intact. You string the
Gotcha.
web. The closest thing you've ever seen to a place like this, do you remember the teleportation circle room inside the Black City?
Uh-huh.
It was kind of like a big auditorium, like 100 feet on a side, really large, open, nothing you had ever seen before. This is like that. There is nothing in this massive space except for a few crumbled columns, some of the fallen ceiling, and towards the back on a raised platform that is extremely difficult to see. You sense it as you climb around, and you're kind of getting a feel for the scape. Like you said, you have 10 feet of sort of blind sight
Yeah.
here. There are what a be a set of chairs on this raised stone rectangle in the back of this chamber. A set of chairs with long dead people in them.
Huh.
Not a whole bunch. There are 3 chairs. One is bigger. One is a very large chair. To its right is a a little bit smaller chair with a dead person in it, and to its left, a significantly smaller chair with a dead person in it.
Gotcha. Do these look a little bit more like thrones than auditorium seats?
Dwight would know that, but yes, but Belvari would not. They are very fancy big chairs.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I think I'll head back, and I will try to walk as if I were going to move in a
Right.
large group of people around a horse.
Okay. Sure. You do your best impression of a group of men near a horse, walking back, leaving thread. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's largely uneventful. You just go back roughly the way you came. You pass a couple of small, very buildings, a couple where you can tell there was a little bit of a building, but it's made of wood, some of stone that are in better shape, all of them overgrown.
Gotcha.
And
Do
you
I
make your way
see
back
one that's particularly lapidated?
Nope, they're roughly all
Okay.
the same condition.
All the same. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll just head back and turn back into Belvari, holding on to the newest string.
Are you
Good, y'all are
gesturing
back.
for me to put my headphones back on and listen?
You and those like you. Patrick,
Yeah.
did you get in?
Yep, I'm here.
Great.
Okay, guys. It looks like this is some sort of city, kind of like our city, but maybe smaller, slightly more martial, if you will. I didn't sense anyone in there except for
More
3.
more martial as in more militant or of a
Yeah,
marshland?
more militant, more like a castle than a city, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Amazing.
That Belvari would understand, but that's Dwight conveying to you intent.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me put on my slightly smaller glasses.
I
All
just
right.
watched that episode.
Go.
Fantastic.
All right, go
Can
ahead.
see
So you
why
said
you didn't
saw
want me to put on my scheme glasses.
So really more of a scheme then.
sorry, you saw 3 of something?
There were 3 dead bodies, kind of in the center,
Okay.
but nothing moving around. And I have this thread. We can go straight to that room if y'all want.
If you're in
That
spider
room-
form, can you speak common? I don't know how this works.
I turned back into Belvari.
Gotcha.
But yeah, no, I can't. You can't.
Okay. So you Belvari'd again to tell them this.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but I'm holding on to the thread that I saved.
Okay.
Sounds great. Let's go.
Yeah, so we can.
I don't know that it sounds great, but I will go along.
Fair enough. Belvari has in his spider form got this thick. To you guys, it feels thick from a giant spider. This thick piece of spider silk that you're able to, you can move along it. It's drying out quickly. It'll be less sticky soon. He has walked a path. He found something that looked interesting to him and has walked a path. Inkatink, you're the one who knows where you need to go. How do you want to handle this?
So finding a room, finding a place where we could, in the event of danger, back ourselves into it and at least reduce the danger to one direction. That's probably good. So maybe we could find that room.
I will tell you that the direction of your is more or less the direction of Belvari's string.
All the better. Path of least resistance. Let's keep going.
Okay.
And as we go, I would like to sort of loop up the string so that I would have a long piece of spider silk, perhaps, in my inventory.
I will roll for you in a few minutes. Just give me a minute. How much of that you're able to preserve as some kind of rope or something?
Gotcha.
So yeah, basically the interior space of this wall, it is not as big as your Black City, for example. It's a significantly smaller space, as Belvari describes, and as you are able to see walking in. The unicorn is going with you. I'm happy for you all to have your hands rested and alternate who can see or whatever. But as you go through, see the entire thing at once, but you're pretty sure you get the size and scope. It's towns y'all are used to, but not as big as the Black City. You pass into this initial thick wall, and you pass a set of what are clearly relatively close together, dilapidated stone buildings. There are a few spots where there was a building that looks to you like it probably wasn't made of stone, it's made of wood or something, that has long since fallen into disrepair or crumbled into near nothing. The buildings themselves had roofs at some point. They do not seem to anymore. Some of them have timber still hanging across their old vines on them, this kind of thing. But it is not, there's nothing in here that gives you the impression that there's anybody actively using it or has for a long time.
Is that a
Yep.
nature check kind of thing, where we could make a
You
nature
can.
check to try to come up with some sort of number of how many years?
Go for it. Yeah, roll a nature check. Anybody who's interested in trying to figure that out.
18.
Okay.
23 for Toll.
Dang,
think
Toll.
I think that
got the
Diamondback
hot
would rather
dice.
spend this time thinking about a different question.
Okay. Well, let me do these guys first. And Belvari, did you want to try to figure that out, or do you care?
Nah.
Okay. Inketing, Toll, maybe y'all are chatting a little bit about what it would mean this way, that way. The things you're seeing. Neither of you has seen anything this old, notwithstanding the Black City, but you can't really compare because that was underwater, and who knows, it was such a strange, different thing. The towns that you know of, the ruins that you know of, you have seen ruined villages before because of a fight, or a war, battles. But an 80-year-old town, a 100-year-old town that's in ruins, that's not what this is. This is significantly older. If you had to try to put a number, you would start guessing wildly, but the numbers you would come up with wouldn't be 50 or 100 years. It'd be like, who knows? It could even be 500 years old, or something like that.
But
That's
probably hundreds.
Yeah, that's the scale at which you're thinking. You're not thinking,
Okay.
some in any minute, and you're certainly not, and you're not thinking like, wow, 20 years ago, this must have been a nice place. No, this is long abandoned.
Okay.
Are the bodies inside bodies, or are they like desiccated?
Are they skeletons?
With Belvari's blind sight, as a spider, he wasn't able to make out that level of detail about what's going on with it.
Okay.
Diamondback, what were you interested in?
Well, I was interested in knowing about the religious or spiritual aspects of this place. Are there any gods or spirits that hold sway here that I can tell?
Roll me a history check,
Okay.
looking for the signs of that kind of thing.
I'm fantastic at history also.
Okay.
Not that fantastic. 18.
Okay. When you're doing this, describe to me as you're walking. I know you're just walking, looking. You're not like going off on your own, but
Yeah.
describe to me. Just give me a glimpse into how Diamondback's processing this. Is he silently brooding? Is he talking through things? Is he, what's he doing?
He's sifting through his lore, the lore that had been passed down to him from the Snake Clan before it was destroyed, and any lore that he's been able to learn from his secret sources lately. He is trying to match it up with what he's seeing before him. Like, what has he heard from various people about the different, horrible entities that are in around this place.
Yeah, and I'm asking something more like, what are the other guys seeing you do?
Oh,
Anything visible or?
no, he's just looking around intently and thinking.
Okay, gotcha. And then Belvari, will you tell me also what are you doing as we walk here? This relates some to Diamondback, so I need to understand what you're doing.
Gotcha. I'm just, I guess, taking a second look with real sight at these places, seeing if there's anywhere we could get a short rest or something like that that would be protected.
Okay. Roll me, Belvari, then. I'm going to have you roll a. How about 2 rolls from you? One is wisdom, and the other is history.
Okay. A 7 on the wisdom.
Okay.
And a natural 1 on the history.
Okay. And roll me again on the. So I can see the 1 there.
18.
Okay, so it's not terrible. Belvari, you are looking for more details about, like, you're focusing on security, threats and opportunities to escape and things like that. So you're not really paying attention to the kinds of things Toll and Inkatink were paying attention to, like architectural, nor to the kinds of things that Diamondback's paying attention to, which are like artistic elements, for example, that would indicate something about the people. You're looking for more strategic aspects. And you don't see anything, Bavari, striking to you either way. It is what it seems to be, as far as you can tell. There are no, you don't notice anything lurking. You also don't notice like secret ways you could escape or something like that. It's just some old ruins.
Gotcha.
Diamondback, you're looking around. A couple of things. You had an 18, right?
You said Diamondback had an 18?
He did. Yeah. Diamondback, what you notice, the first thing that really strikes you about this is there are the stones that you see are hewn. They're not, river stones or natural stones. They were shaped. Something here, whoever made this had a level of civilization beyond what you know of, except that every rumors of the stone cities of the Iron Bell, but those are upriver from you by a lot. This is not one of those, but I've never heard of anybody else besides the Iron Bell having such a ways of building.
Excellent.
Most of the buildings here are 1 story to 2 stories tall. As you draw closer, the main one that Belvari described is clearly the center part of the structure is a good 50 feet tall, 40 feet tall, and there are some parts that you can see. You can't see the tops of them. Belvari describes his spidery escapade to you, some perhaps, and tells you towers that appear to go significantly higher, 100 feet into the air, above the canopy, probably, although who could see? So this is a significant edifice in the center of this place. It itself, that center edifice, has its own very strong defensive exterior wall. It appears to be something well fortified within this place that itself was well fortified. That said, aside from that, the next thing that you notice is that the stones are not only hewn, but many of them are decorated, both architecturally and decoratively. So there are carvings in the faces of some of the stones, now long worn from age, but also some of the structures themselves seem to be indicative of some kinds of shapes. And in particular, the shapes that you notice most are a couple of distinct kinds of birds.
Interesting. Birds, you say. I point one of them. Are there any of them that look like crow-like, crow-shaped
No.
beaks? Nevertheless,
For the love of all that's holy.
I point
I'm a
out some
raven
bird
man.
shapes to my friend Inkatink. I just gesture
Inkatink.
at them
Yeah.
as we go by.
You see these bird shapes. They are. You can make them out. It's clear. To your perception, these are not. These are neither the Kenku style of bird, nor are they not mythical, but the sort of legendary style of Birdman, the Aarakocra. These are not anything like that. These appear to be natural birds, but there are one or two kinds of birds that are most prominent, and they're very different. You can tell they just look like a certain species of bird, your kind of bird.
Are they raptors? Are they songbirds? Are they ground birds? Are they just birds?
They appear to be marsh birds. You would describe them if are you talking about this at all with like Diamondback, or are you just taking it in?
Yeah. He's chatting with Diamondback about it. Yeah.
The thing you would say to Diamondback, and Toll and Belvari, I guess y'all are there, so you could hear it. The unicorn could hear it too. But one of the things you would say, just to give you a sense of this, Inkatink, is you would say things like, I'm not going to try to do voices, but you would say that you see two main kinds of birds. There are some storks over here, and there's one, and several wren here and here.
Okay.
Wrens? Wren? I don't know. I don't know what the plural of wren is.
I think it's wrens.
Friends.
Hey,
So-
I'm a wren.
Says Belvari.
Everybody turns and looks at Belvari. Okay. So if I've still got some juice on my spell, so I think Inkatink's gonna
You do.
say, like, let's get moving, guys. Let's get moving.
It is. Y'all have been walking forward. Right? The description was slow, but you basically are heading straight into this large building, and the front opening of this building. Now that you're at the thread is leading you that way. That's where Bavari had inspected. He had gone around different places, but that's what he had looked at and led this thread. The front opening of it seems to be a multitude of doorways, 6-8 doorways wide. It's a big, impressive entrance. You walk in, and you can see about 60 feet up where you're pretty sure there should be ceiling. There's not. It's blackness above you. But there are beams that have fallen in this interior space. You can make your way through them. It's not dangerous rubble. It's just fallen and overgrown with leaves and such on a smooth, hard stone floor. Towards the back of this room, as you follow this thread, and it's still going roughly in the direction you're trying to go, you come up to 3 large chairs on a raised rectangular piece of ground that's circular in front. The largest of the chairs is in the center. There is a dead person on it. There is a slightly less large chair with a dead person there on the right-hand side of the chair, so your left. And then to the left of the chair is, on the other seat, is a very much smaller, large chair that has a smaller dead person on it.
So maybe like a king, a queen, and a child, or a mother, a father, and a child, or are they wearing? Do they have discernible clothing or articles, accoutrement?
They appear to be desiccated corpses, long atrophied, and
Are they
there's no
human?
meaningful clothing. There's vegetation on them a little bit.
Are they
Okay.
human?
Yeah, or human enough, as far as you can tell. They have arms and legs and things.
Like most humans do. Okay. Do you want to? How long does it take you to do your thing, Diamondback?
Well, I guess we should think about where we're going. I say these friends who have passed.
Belvari whispers in Diamondback's ears. I'm not sure how excited the unicorn would be about.
Touche.
Inkatink, you feel an intense pressure towards the smallest of the chairs.
Inkatink takes a step forward, and his hands almost compulsively, instinctually raise towards this smallest figure.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, as you move a little bit here, you're staying within the. I'm assuming you're still holding the torch, so you can see.
Yeah, he's dragging everybody else forwards.
Yeah. So as you move, you know the angle's changing acutely now, and you can tell for sure exactly what it is. This dead creature is wearing some kind of circlet on its arm.
Tight. Inkatink gingerly but feverishly reaches for the circlet and begins to try to shimmy it down the arm, the desiccated arm of this diminutive figure.
Belvari would like to be as on his guard as he can, especially towards any of those corpses coming alive.
Sounds good. You ready?
Yeah, that's a
yourself
good
with
idea.
the-
Diamondback picks one of the corpses and stands behind it in readiness.
One of the corpses turns its head to speak to everybody, intending to say, "Well, gosh, guys, I sure am glad you found the circlet." Belvari instantly punches its head off of his shoulders. Sorry.
Which one?
The biggest one.
If you stand behind front of it, you won't be able to see.
Okay. I won't do that. I'll stay with everybody else, but I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready in action. The action
Sounds
is toll the dead on anything that seems like it's moving that shouldn't be.
Okay.
Yes, of these, well, and also things that might come from outside. Diamondback is on high alert.
I'll let you have a that's a reasonable though broad trigger. I'll take it. All right.
Jared sticks his head out from a hole and he just pop.
That's right. Yoshka.
Yoshka.
Come on.
Inkatink, Toll, are you happy with what's happening right here? You're okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Inkatink, you reach out to this corpse. It looks, to your best guess, as though it's a 13 to 14-year-old boy. Obviously it's old. These people are taller than, they're taller than you by a lot. Inkatink's Kenku are short compared to humans, right? They're 5 feet or whatever, 5.5 feet tall. These are significantly taller than you. They're tall like orcs, but not built like orcs. But they are, also shriveled and desiccated and super thin and spindly. When you grab onto this boy and you kind of lift his arm a little bit to get that off, there's some cracking and creak. Part of it, the skin, the flesh collapses under your grip. It is very long, desiccated. Bits of it break off. You are able to slide this rather delicate circlet off of the boy's arm. You pull it off, and you can't tell in this lack of light, this odd sort of darkness light, what it's made of for sure. But it appears to be a tarnished or not polished, I should say, metal.
Okay.
It is thin with bits, woven-looking bits, and it appears to have several. It appears to be styled after some birds in flight. So the legs kind of go back and intertwine, and they make it's several birds making this circlet. And in one part in particular, every quarter of the way around this circlet, there are little balls, little stones of some kind in it, held in place by the bit of metal. One of those little spots is missing, but the rest of them are there. You don't know where the missing one has gone. You are able to get it off and are holding in your hand this thing. And as you do so, the pressure just cathartically releases. And you no longer feel anything from the potion.
I think you see Inkatink's feathers that have been kind of. You realize that he's been looking kind of puffy this whole time, and you see everything kind of go down. And you're like, oh, he did look that way a couple of days ago, and usually did. So he's sleeker. He's back down to his normal size, and he just kind of closes his eyes, exhales, and whoop, sticks his hand up inside the circlet.
And being a circlet,
Sorcerer Online.
and being a circlet, there. I was going to say that it fits well enough, but really, what happens is you're able to slide it up, above your elbow, and there's a point at which it stops. So it fits you, right? Like
Okay.
You're able to wear it without being self-conscious of it wanting to slip off or something like that. So
Your bicep is smaller than a 13,000-year-old 13-year-old boy.
Inkatink turns and faces the group and says, I am Inkatink, sorcerer of profound darkness. No, I'm just kidding. Does he feel anything? Does anything click, so to speak?
nope.
He reaches out his hand and tries to cast Eldritch Blast without any cantrips in his hands.
Yeah. I mean, you reach out your hand and nothing in particular happens.
Okay. You see him like stomp his foot, and then he starts kind of hopping around in a rather raven-like fashion. You've probably known him long enough to know, like, when he gets really frustrated, really angry, some of his kind of more animalistic instincts kick in. So you see his kind of head twitching around, and you see his like beak kind of whipping around in a certain way, and he's kind of shuffling around.
And I'll tell you, Josh, my answer to your question was predicated upon me checking your spell list.
Sure. So he's done that before with components. I think he probably he thinks to himself, like, minor illusion, that's one that I do all the time. And he tries to make an image of Nino's face before him using minor illusion.
You're Matt and Belvari, you are on point and ready. A bell sounds dong, 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 but it has no effect on Nino.
So Inkatink created the illusion, and Diamondback hit it with a duller spell. I mean,
Nice.
whatever it's called.
Nice.
That's right.
Nice. Okay, but I make a minor image of Nino.
You do indeed.
Yes. Nice. Inkatink turns and looks at everybody else, and a deep, deep laugh comes out of him. Yes.
Okay, so we were also sort of thinking that Yoshka, Dino, and Splint were in here? I don't think it's Splint. It's Jacob's other character,
Talon.
Talad.
Talon.
Talon.
Before we leave, I think Inkatink just wants to real quick just try to see if there's any other personal effects on any of these three people that he might in the future be able to come back to and use to help identify who they were. At the very least, he's probably going to, I know this sounds morbid, but he has a necromancer for a friend. He's probably going to snatch the kid's skull and take that with him just in case there's any ability to like commune with the kid via his remaining body part. But do any of the other, do I need to make a search check?
Mori.
What's that?
Say it again. I said at least as a memento mori.
That's
Say it
right.
again.
Do I need to roll for anything, or can I take 20 and search the bodies?
No, I mean, the bodies are what they seem to be. There is no apparent clothing nor much feature of flesh or anything. Like I said, long desiccated. There are bits of metal and stone things on the body that you could grab. If you wanted to try to move them, they are quite fragile. The bodies, I mean, the bones aren't super fragile, but you could move them a bit, but they would crumble a fair bit. You could see if there's, you can investigate where they're sitting, these big fancy chairs.
Okay.
I would like to get Inkatink's help for Diamondback to try and figure out the history of these various accoutrements.
Okay, so just one last, this is the last thing I want to do. Looking, I do have the spell components for locate object at this bracelet and look at the 3 stones that are there, and then focus on the idea of that stone that seems to be missing is the inference, and cast locate object on that stone.
Look up locate object so I know for sure, so I understand what I can tell you about it.
Okay.
Or what I can tell you. Sorry. Give me 1 second. I just don't know the describe. Sense the direction to the object's location as long as that object is within 1,000 feet. Excuse me. If it is in motion, you know the direction of its movement. The spell can locate a specific object known to you as long as you've seen it up close within 30 feet at least once. Alternatively,
I don't think it lets you
locate. Well, it can locate the nearest object of a particular kind, such as a certain kind of apparel, jewelry, furniture. Okay, so here's what I'll let you do. Look for, locate towards a stone like or a thing like the other ones.
Yeah.
Fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay. Remove your components from your pouch.
Done.
You have a keen sense that it's about 15 feet away from you on the floor.
Nice. Inkatink goes straight to it, picks it up.
It appears just to have fallen and rolled.
Okay. So if it has fallen, then he's gonna, I guess, put it in a pouch or whatever because he doesn't want to lose it again, and he'll make a repair later. But actually, can he try to cast mend? I think that might be
I don't think that puts jewels back into circlets.
Well, it can repair something that's broken or
you
torn.
Absolutely can try to cast mend.
Okay, yeah, mending. Yeah, okay, he tries to cast mending. He puts the stone in and tries to cast mending.
The DM checks your spell list and nothing happens.
It's a sorcerer spell.
I don't know how spell lists work for sorcerers.
It says available for bard, cleric, druid, sorcerer, wizard, artificer.
Okay, but you have a spell list on D&D Beyond that I'm looking at. I don't know.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
Yeah.
so okay, sure. Okay.
Let's see.
Okay. Interesting. So I would have to give up one of those. Okay. Okay, cool.
So-
well, let's do the map thing.
Yeah, Matt, what do you want? And we're going to stop in just a sec. But Matt, your
Yeah.
turn. Diamondback.
And Inkatink's going to give the help action to Diamondback as he attempts to.
Sorry. Yeah. You do only have a certain number of spells, and the sorcerer page in the player's manual will tell you how many spells you have.
Yeah.
Diamondback wants to know the history of this room. What happened here? And he thinks
Roll
that
me-
maybe there's some connection with Inkatink, so he wants Inkatink to help him with this. So they go into a huddle and start talking. What do you think this is? What do you think this is? Or,
Toll. Yeah. Toll or Belvari, are either of you interested in understanding the history of this place and helping?
Knowing how old it is, yeah.
Okay.
I'm interested and I can give guidance.
Are you up to their help as well, Diamondback?
yeah.
Okay. Then I'll let you roll 3 dice.
Oh, no, that's illegal in
Help.
5e rules, Sir Robert, but I'll do it.
That's right.
There's no such thing as double initiative, double advantage.
This part isn't D&D. This part is the dying of the light.
Fair enough. 3 d20s, and I have a +6 in history.
Come on,
Oh,
baby.
geez. Okay, so I rolled a 1, a 2, and a 12. So that's going to be an
Okay.
18.
Okay. That's not bad. I was joking about the heat.
Inkatink and Belvari are staring at a rock in the corner.
Belvari, are you giving me extra on that?
A D4, I think.
Yeah, guidance.
Okay, cool. Let me roll the d4 then. That's a 3, so
18.
21.
21.
Okay, that's great. You're actually able to glean a fair bit with the help, especially of Inkatink and Belvari. Patrick, you have talked quite a bit with Talad. I know that y'all had interacted a fair. Being a stone worker, you picked up some things from him and were able to participate that way with him. Inkatink, interest in checking the other bodies just for stuff. And that's part of this history check. I'll let you be aware of that. You find a number of pieces of metal which you understand what they're for, and some of which you don't necessarily. We will start next time with a description of what you have gleaned about this place and its purpose, and the things you found as you looked.
Nice.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for participating, players, and for listening, audience. You can find out more about this story and the stories we're telling at .com. Have a good night.